The American Election, a Various Fields series special. Various Votes.
All right, everybody, how's it going? This is Various Fields. I'm Lex.
I'm Hazen Fields second.
And I'm Trey. How you doing today?
How we doing, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Guys, we're getting straight back into all the political what's it, the upcoming election, and all the craziness, because it has been, can you guys think of any other word than crazy? A lot?
A lot. A great
A
deal.
lot of things that happen.
If you remember us from last week, and I'm talking about this before we actually posted online, if you remember us from last week, there's a huge amount of excitement of being aware that Kamala Harris was officially on the ticket for being the president-elect for 2024.
Yeah,
So,
amazing.
Yeah. And that just even just the hint of the energy of when it happens is now
right.
getting me excited again.
Yeah.
Because we have what would it be, if and hopefully
Yes.
if elected to be our president, will be first Black and Asian woman to be our president. And that to me is also like almost like perfect justice, especially with one of the biggest things with the issues, which was the Roe v. Wade issue.
Right, absolutely.
Like
That's
just
right.
a woman unpower, bring all the rights that were taken away from women to give them their power back and their
Right.
rights back.
That's right.
That is
which neither of the
amazing.
previous
Yeah.
presidents were able to talk about in a comfortable manner.
Right.
that's
Yes,
comic
that's
book
right.
level story right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
right
that's
there.
it. That's very
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
That's excellent. You know, along with speaking of Kamala Harris, I do want to mention Joe Biden's ability to show great humility, and after 50 years of public service, stepping down,
Right.
so that Kamala Harris can invigorate the party, the Democratic Party,
Right.
let it move a lot smoother. Because sometimes, you know, it's difficult when you're in a position like that to know when it's time to say, I'm going to step down. And
Right.
so that
Right.
takes a lot of character to do that. So shout out to Joe Biden.
Absolutely. That's
you
a
know,
full applause for
yeah, that's
Joe
absolutely. So thank you for your humility, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think I want to double down on that because also I think people forget just the human nature of certain things. Like it's actually kind of crazy that it's kind of a given that Joe Biden is the more responsible president, the more responsible person in power. So you can't even picture, and he's absolutely not because he's still fighting the election from last time.
Right.
But you can't even picture Trump doing that.
Right.
But not only stepped down and took, you know, he no longer has the role or will no longer have the role of being essentially the most powerful person in, you know, that's the states, but, you know, as a government elect. But at the same time, it's like just the human nature of just pride alone.
Right.
You have to be like, no, let me sit back. And also people told him because he didn't want to do it originally, which
Right.
I think people try to like disparage him for. They try to
Right.
be like, oh my gosh, you didn't want to do it. But of course, like it was his job for about 4 years. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm the only person as of right now.
Right.
Everyone told me they wanted me to do this.
Yeah,
They got
yeah.
voted in to
Right.
make sure to stop Trump. And
Right.
now he has to like make sure if I step down that Kamala Harris has it, but you also have to make sure like everyone else has it, and then like take that pride away and be like, well, also because I'm democratically elected, if other people and other people in my party are saying they want someone else, then I have to look at that, pause, and be like, all right, I'm doing this for the people,
Right.
and that's another move. That's crazy.
Honestly, I love that because like it was so refreshing to hear that. Not
Yeah.
even for the sake of like, oh, like his what you call it, declining health or anything like that. But like there was a main thing I loved about it because you don't see that, like you said, you'll never get that from Trump.
Right.
To the point where like even in one of his rallies, I believe he was like talking about how if the Christians vote, they'll never have to vote ever
Oh, my
again.
gosh.
Yeah.
Right. And I find that so interesting. Like he's all about maintaining and keeping this power for himself. And I don't even think he wants to be a president. I think he wants to be like a king or a monarch.
Well,
or
he
a
actually
dictator,
said
you
he
know?
wanted to be a dictator for
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
and
hard. It's hard to do. You don't
Yeah.
need to dictate for it.
You know, but just even the concept of saying that, you know, supposedly, you know, this country is built on a democracy, and or some people argue and suggest that it's a, you know, a republic. What do you call It's where we vote. It's it's a particular type of republic. I can't remember.
Oh no, yeah, we're not what is called considered a classic democracy. We
Right.
are,
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. The point is, to go from what we are to a dictatorship is would not be
A huge
any
swing in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. But let me ask you guys a question. Because there's a lot of questions about policy versus character, or what's important to you when you vote. Because there's a argument now, like to say now because Trump is in the thing there, and I normally refer to him as 45, and unfortunately I'm going to call him 45 the felon, but 45 the felon. Yeah, he.
It works better than laughing Kamala.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
still
So,
workshopping.
and it's a shame that people will mock her name and say it's all versions of her name. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's Kamala.
And we're making that point because you'll get people who, like you said, intentionally try to mispronounce, misspell, or try to make their name sound un-American in some sort,
Yes,
or try
right.
to other Kamala as a character, try to other them.
Right.
So also in the description later on, we'll put the proper phonetic spelling. So
Right.
that's what you guys also, if you're not comfortable saying and you're not sure, we can have that. You can go to our description, read it, and then also if you hear someone either accidentally not saying it correctly, just lightly correct them.
Right.
And if you hear someone intentionally, make sure they know how it's supposed to be said. And if they don't, that's on them. But make sure you guys spell pronounce her name correctly.
it's all about the proper respects to begin with,
That's
because I
right.
can imagine a lot of my friends are saying, "No, this is not how you pronounce my name. This is
Right.
not how you pronounce my. This is not the pronoun that I go by. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you want to make sure that you say with the proper respects the
and,
name.
And America is absolutely that people used to call it a melting pot, but I prefer to think of it as a salad bowl, because what happens is when you have a salad bowl, all of the pieces that are there, the tomatoes and the radishes and whatever.
And the black olives.
Yeah, black olives matter. Black olives matter. But yeah, absolutely. Because you have a salad, none of the flavor of what is in the salad is lost. Each and every component of the salad is respected, understood, and it's important to have in it.
Right.
So as opposed to a melting pot or something like that, all of a sudden everything gets diluted or changed into this one flavor. But I think America's strength is the different flavors. So therefore, us, knowing each other's culture and our background and respecting each other, as opposed to, unfortunately, a lot of times I have a lot of classes and stuff at the job, and they get all these instructional videos, and we talk about respect of diversity, equity, inclusion,
that's
and DEI. So what happens is another thing. Yeah. So what happens is if your name is not common, one that we don't know how to
Jeff,
say.
Greg,
Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, we don't want to
but-
change your name to something that's more palatable to us. So instead of saying Kamala, we'll just call you K. That's
Aaron.
That's right. Right. Absolutely. That's absolutely. But anyway, but yeah. So we got a lot of things on the table here. DEI. We talk about. I wanted to find about policy and versus character, because I think that character is a major deal.
Oh, absolutely. And Trey, you want to speak on it first, or?
I mean, okay, so we've seen what a drastic change of character Trump has been for the for the government, for politics in general. Like, he's definitely changed the game in regards to like how media views this election season. But I want to say particularly. Honestly, like when I was thinking about Bernie, when I was thinking about Biden, I see what character and what they actually stand for, and like when they actually talk about building up a people, they actually stand on it, whatever it may mean, right? So I kind of I definitely believe that character is a big role to play, particularly in who I want as a presidential-elect.
Right, and I want to yes and that, because I think something I've been noticing is that people will confuse like someone being loud with charismatic, Because I feel like people call Trump charismatic, which he's not to me.
No, he's
you
not.
know, he's not. Charisma is like projecting character. I don't think he projects character. I think he projects. I think he's
Right, he projects
loud. He
loud.
says stuff.
Right.
But
He
even
says, yeah.
he like flip flops all back in time, all the kind of things. And I think the one thing to talk about the difference, because I would argue and I would imagine a lot of people, if you're deep in politics and you care about this kind of stuff, if you're a lawyer, things like that, policy matters more. And to a degree of like running a country, I would agree with that. You know, policy matters more. That's the stuff. But what happens is when you're the president, you're also the representation of your country, representation of the people
Right.
who voted for you, things like that. And I think rhetoric matters a lot. And then the thing that we saw, one of the most jarring things, there wasn't just Trump being elected, but it was going from Obama to Trump. And you're like, wait, what happened? Wait, no.
Right.
And then I think that's the thing. And I feel like you could legitimately see, like, just different, and not people who voted for Trump, but just by the nature of us having, there was I think it was a reference to The Daily Show real quick, and then they were talking about like one of Trump's more racist statements or something that was disparaging to black people. And then there was another person of color that was saying like, oh, I'm okay with that because I like dark humor. And I'm like, yeah, sure, but that's our president. Like,
Right.
being like, it's not like, he's not like, ha ha, he just, I don't know. It's
Right.
not, he's not making a joke. He's just being racist. He can be like, I'm okay with that. He also holds the nuclear codes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think there's a certain level of representation and character that comes with the office, and not just because I've never understood the line like, if it's a president, I want to be able to sit down and have a beer with him.
Right.
He has the nuclear codes. Do you?
Right.
Do you want to sit down next to someone with nukes? Like, I don't. Like that guy. Like, you should have a certain level of rigidity. Like, be a little rigid, but the rigid should come with, I'm running the country of America. I feel like you should be a little nervous, and if you're nervous and charismatic, that's good. So that should be proper. I don't know.
I do appreciate
want a
the
laid-back
fact
guy
that you
as a
are going to
president.
be proper as a president. Like, dude, obviously you want to show your humanity as a president, because it's not just a role. You want to show that you relate to a person, right? But I feel as if, like you said, just as a huge juxtaposition between Joe Biden and Trump, they're like vetting the late great, as he called it, Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And
right,
just like saying like, these are my people.
Right.
Like, sitting on the table of white supremacists and saying like I can break bread with these kind of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
that's not the kind of character I want to show represent this nation.
Right.
See, when I was in school, we used to actually have debates, in class. You
Right.
do in class, and civility is important. In fact, a lot of the debating when we had debating classes, they went all the way back to Roman times, and they would talk about some of the great orators of that time and how they were able to convey a message. And I think conveying a message with civility is very important, to be able to have a dialogue with a person. And now I don't want my kids going to school thinking that, calling someone a name, and now you think of, I got to make up a nickname.
Right.
Or, and we call it a nickname, but it's a disparaging name, a name that's
Yeah.
condescending and mean. And the mean-spirited, and so I don't want our kids learning that, and that's so sad. And it's so sad that back in the day, we would have quotes that we could make from a president. John F. Kennedy we had many quotes from him, and of course President Obama. Various quotes that could be
Right.
made. But now we have certain things that can't be repeated
Yeah.
by
Right.
this president. And you don't want your child to say. So a civil tongue. And God forbid we say a Christian tongue, which blows my mind. That anyway, but
Gotcha.
Anyway, I won't even go there. But the civility needs to be returned into our public discourse.
Right. I want to use that to, unless you have anything else to speak
I mean,
on that.
like I was saying, like there used to be some level of decorum in presidential
Right.
debates that we used to have, and now it's come down to like just these back and forth like competitions with this monarch of mudslinging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
good
months.
and like,
all
but
the
like
color
that's all it is. And you were talking about the whole level of
Bars.
charisma. You're talking about having a charismatic character.
Yeah.
I feel as
Right.
if like any type of insult slung against your opponent, right, and not talking about the policies and what you stand for,
Right.
right, that's the opposite of charisma.
Right.
All right, that's just saying like, oh, I can do it better because this guy does it so much worse, yada yada yada. And it's like that's not telling what you're doing.
Right.
Right. That's just saying you don't like the guy.
Right.
And
So
speaking of, I want to use that to transition into when Trump was at the NABJ, because that was terrible.
that was
Yeah.
hard.
And not just like the whole like, which is sad to say, it's not just the thing that our previous president was being racist. That's old news. No one cares
Right.
about that. But just like there was a moment in time when he, I think, I should know the reporter's name, but as of right now, I'm just remembering the event itself. But they asked, he was like, do you stand by the statements of calling Kamala Harris a DEI president?
Or DEI hire.
A DEI hire. And then Trump goes back, it's like, yeah, what's your definition of DEI? And then she gave him the definition of DEI, and he was like, well, that's your, he's like, no, those are the words, it's an acronym. There's no, like, and I don't, it's also, like, not just with representation and character, but it's also straight up education, just knowing. But, like, I think one of the reasons why that one stands out to me, because unfortunately Trump is erratic almost everywhere, but that one felt particularly a little more erratic than his normal levels of being erratic. And I think it just shows, like, the level of disrespect to be like, Kamala Harris turned black at the NABJ when you're in front of nothing but black journalists, and, like, just like, there's no respect there. There's no pride. There's no, and having, like, a basic human cringe, like, I feel like even if you're a jerk, you might, like, hold back and be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm in front of, like, even if you're racist, you might be like, I'm in front of a lot of black people.
Right.
Maybe I shouldn't say this, but he was like, nah.
Exactly. There's, like, a certain level of, like, arrogance to it too, because, like, how in the world, like, you already know, like, I feel as if you have to know, right, even as President Trump, that you are talking against your base. There's a lot of people that are against you in that environment,
right?
All right, and then here he comes saying, like, they are the ones in the wrong for asking the questions about his apparent and obvious racism.
Yeah,
Right, well,
you know what I mean?
I just wanted to jump in and give you the names of the
Thank you.
correspondents there,
Please.
including the panel of black journalists, including ABC News correspondent Rachel Scott,
Right.
who is the one we were really talking about, Fox News anchor Harris Faulkner, and Semaphore reporter Kadia Goba. And Rachel Scott was the one that was putting Trump's feet to the fire for the most part. And but we there are, I guess you could say, the ripples of racism and cultural conditioning that has been in this country for centuries, shows itself again by you being a man, a woman of color. You should be able to identify yourself however you desire,
Right.
Because
Right.
when we talk about African American, I believe we talk about not just those who are from the United States, but the global African diaspora experience. That when you get here and
Right.
we all have a connection. There is some version of a cross section where we all meet and all have had a history. If you go back in history. In Africa and India, they've had coalitions back as far as back as the Bronze Age.
Right.
So to suggest that a person of color that is not allowed to identify themselves as they desire has its a basis in racism. It's almost like saying, "Let me see your freedom papers." Let me see your birth certificate. This is what they were doing.
Especially if they're of mixed heritage and just, like, mixed race, because it's one of those things where I think there's so many people who have that story now. My two roommates happen to be mixed, and it's one of those things where it's like, to me it's almost more common. Like, it's almost weird to be like, they identified it this way first and this way not. Like, that's not how that works.
Right.
You always talk, like, anybody a part of their family will talk about the two aspects and cultures and race dynamics of the family. That's so common to make it seem like it's not a normal thing is even stranger.
Right. Yeah, and especially it's duplicitous in the sense of America itself, because at one point in time, and during Jim Crow, America called it the one drop rule.
Yeah.
If you had one drop of African American blood, black blood, blood from a person of color, you were considered, black. And so therefore, you almost say, well, who would be the ones that would be beaten for drinking out of a white water fountain? Right. How would you discover who you were? So if you were saying, oh, no, I'm Indian, and I can, you would not be welcomed at the white only. And I'm not saying that should be the basis of our guidelines, but what I'm saying is the people are use their racism as it's convenient,
right?
So now, just like in Kamala's record, on one level, she's when she was a district attorney, she was tough on crime.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, you know, so now, oh, she's done a lot of bad things, you know,
Right.
to those criminals. But then, you know, if you're soft on crime, you're too soft on crime.
Yeah.
You know, so it has its basis in like, we just want to put you in a place that we
Right.
think is, you know, good for what we believe America is.
It's a control thing.
It's a
Right, it's
control
100%.
thing.
It's always there to divide. And, like, I believe there was also another young lady that actually spoke about Kamala's, diversity,
Right.
But saying that she chose one side and not the other, and she was a sister of ours. You know what I mean? But like, you know, I found it interesting because, like, I don't know if it was for her own personal prestige and clout that she went up on that stage, right? Or was it the fact that she actually believes that this division ought be in place when you come from a mixed family, you know? But like, I don't believe it should ever be a conversation that we should have, particularly in 2024, of like what side you stand on when your family's diverse as such.
Well, I just want to take a pause right here because we want to tell you to like, subscribe, share, hit all the buttons if you're liking this conversation. When I say like this conversation, you find this conversation engaging because you know, this also brings up the one of the statements at the panelists that you were talking about. What are black jobs? You know,
yeah.
You know, it's you know, to even utter those words and then double down.
Congratulations, Simone Biles, by the way.
Oh, congratulations,
Yes,
Simone
very
Biles. Yeah.
She loves her black job.
I like that crossover. That's right. Yeah, and those kind of statements
Right.
just continue to build a division in this country that we don't need. We don't need. It's already,
Yeah.
we it's beautiful to think that, you know, we have repaired those things which have been, that made us, you know, divide. But the truth is, we're still in the midst of repair. And someone, you know, using that kind of language, disparaging talk and stuff like that, it does not help us to build the country. So we, you know, I love the fact that Kamala represents a combination of what America is, and has a civil tongue and able to possibly bring us closer.
She can speak boldly on both sides of the issue, right, and relate to all sides if need be. And it's a lot better than actually, like, again, like, I'm sure you're probably going to bring up J.D. Vance shortly. But
No,
like,
I can do that. No, go ahead.
you know, it's more the fact of, like, I don't ever want to have to put myself in a position when I have to justify who and what I love about my family. You know what I mean? And never to a point where, like, you're like, I know I got a lot of slack or anything like that about my wife being of a descent that is not white against white supremacists and defend it in that way, as opposed to saying, no, I love my wife, and if anyone has a problem with it, I'll smack them around.
That was J.D. Vance's
metaphorically.
J.D. Vance's response to, because he was saying, you know, it's like, to I think people questioning or like do you align with this because of everything that's happening around Kamala Harris, and then he was like, because J.D. Vance I believe is also married to someone who is of South Asian descent.
Correct.
Right.
And then his response, which was like it's weak to the point of disparaging. Which is like, my wife is obviously not white, but I love her. And it's
The butt helps
but
nothing.
it's crazy. Like, you know, first off, my wife is obviously not white, but obviously shaky. But maybe you can make your way out of it. But it's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
Wild.
It is.
There's a defense.
You know, but who's answering to those little dog whistles? Who's listening to it and saying, "Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about."
Car horns now, not even dog.
Yeah, that's true.
Foghorns, if anything.
Foghorn leghorn. No, but like, no, I wanted to jump off of what both of you guys said, because also another thing of that's why I'm super excited. Something I was thinking about the other day. Why I think it's better, and it's kind of fortunate that Joe Biden stepped down. Is that I think not that Joe Biden couldn't win. But there's a different game being played now with Kamala Harris, because I think one of the things, especially with two white men who are both older, competing against each other for a vote, I think no matter what we were talking about how America is run, all that type of stuff, it gets to a patriarchal level. Because something that happened on the debate where they're talking about who can golf better. And that's a power thing.
Right.
That's a power thing. And as a dude, when you get challenged by another dude, your kind of default is, all right, I have to beat you in this weird physical power dynamic kind of way.
Right.
And then you can't, and because Trump is a bully, I think you can't do the I'm distinguished and bully at the same time. It's hard to be like,
No,
I'm
you can't.
distinguished.
Right. Can't. No.
And so, like, he doesn't win by any means, but by the nature of Trump's whole thing being like, I'm a bully my way to victory, like, that's a power play, per se.
Right.
Right.
But with Kamala Harris just kind of being like, and I think that she's not powerful by any means, but by taking the direction of her being a prosecutor, but also by the nature of her identity, who she is as a woman, and then the culture she brings with her, she doesn't even have to play that game.
Right.
She's just like, I'm moving straight, I'm talking about policy, and you can't, in which they've tried to do, you can't attack her that way with like, oh, I'm more powerful, because that's not her stance. That she's not trying to come in as I'm more powerful. I'm not. I'm just the better. It's new versus old. It's like, because that's another thing. I think another thing about, and this is just true, racism in general, anything about like misogyny in general, it feels old and it feels strange, because I think there's so many now, at least in 2024, which I'm grateful for, like things that have built in our generation, is at least most people know at the bare minimum it's hush hush, and anything past that, it is, as the kids say, or as people say, cringe. Like, it's just like, it's weird to be like, that person's racist, because it doesn't even have the same hit it used to.
Right.
If you're going to use it that way, it's strange, it feels old. Trump's whole thing as a spiel feels tired out. So if Kamala just being like, we're moving on, we're going to the next thing, I don't know, I think it's a great play.
Right.
Now, how much time do you have there?
Just,
About 4
my
minutes.
gosh, we
Well,
still
listen, we're going to once again tell you to like, subscribe, and all that
Hit all the
stuff.
buttons.
And also, we just want to remind you, we're in this conversation, but I want you to be in it in a real way by making sure that you are registered to vote. I mean,
Yeah.
because
Please
you
vote.
have to be in it, to really be a part of this conversation. And we're going to be doing a part. What would this be? This is part 3 now. I would
Sure,
imagine.
yeah, it's all
part
connected.
three.
It's all
It's all
connected.
connected.
And this is all the election special. How'd you guys like the narrator that opened up the program on?
Oh, fantastic.
It sounded
Yeah,
really
it
nice.
sounded great.
If you haven't heard this narrator yet, play it again. Just listen to it.
And we're trying
Amazing.
to add some class to our program, but yes, and I want to pick up on this because I think one of the strengths, if I can call them strengths of 45 the Felon, is that he's the only person I know that lowers the bar.
Yeah.
And so what he does,
Yeah.
he deflects because his strength is not in actual discourse and debate and bring up the issues, but his strength is in deflection, doing something self-promotion,
Defacing.
and being negative.
And it means anyone can be president. Because if Trump can be president, you know who can be president now?
Who?
The Grinch.
Yeah.
The Grinch-
He's a mean one.
Yeah, he's a mean.
Yes,
Mr.
you're right.
Grinch, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the new Green Party, right?
Well
Nice.
done.
There you
Hey,
go.
good
Thank you.
job.
I
Good job. Well
appreciate it.
done. Well
Appreciate
done.
it.
Well done. Well
I appreciate
done.
it.
Well done.
Thank
Okay. Well, listen, we're not going to hold you guys too much longer. We only got about a couple of more minutes left. But any final parts on this section of, in fact, our very special various fields?
I will simply say, vote to have your voice be heard. Whether it's because of the fact you lost the opportunity to have Hillary in office, whether it's because you want to have
Yeah.
mandate 2025 no longer a looming threat, whether you just don't want Trump in office, or whether or not you however you want to vote for your right? Because if you don't pitch in, you will not be heard.
I want to yes and that real quick. I was going to say the same thing. And guys, get excited to vote. I know it's a stressful time. I know a lot of people are like, we don't know how to vote. I think people are really feeling the stakes.
Yeah.
Get out there. It's how you share your voice. Support, back who you want to back, and just make sure that you're excited in that. Like, this is not just about the people at the top and not just about the president. It's about you fighting for what you believe is correct, and just be excited. Don't be burdened down by all the stuff that's going down.
And I'm just going to end this real quick. We'll see you next week. Remember to come back to the American election, a Various Fields series special, Various Votes. We thank you for coming. All right.
Thank you very much.
Love you guys.
Peace out, guys.
See you later.
Bye.